Hi, everybody, and welcome to Tent Talk with Liz and Beth. I'm Liz Wilson.
And I'm Beth Wally.
We're here today with some special guests. Our topic for this episode is Gen Z. This is our opportunity to shine a little spotlight on some of our younger team members.
AKA the babies.
The babies. Beth and I, despite what you may think, Beth and I are not members of the Gen Z community. We're of a different. Beth, are you Gen X or elder millennial?
I am vintage 80s.
Vintage 80s.
That's what I'm going with. That's what I'm sticking with.
I am like right at the cusp, like just, when it's elder millennial. I don't like the term elder, but I'm right at that year. You guys are gonna have to Google what year that is and do the math to figure it out yourself. I'm not doing the work for you. But the folks that we have today are younger, but I have found them all to be pretty wise for their age. So I invited them here today to hear a little bit about their experience so far at Sunbelt Temporary Structures. I happen to like talking to them, so this just is a nice excuse to. So please welcome to the podcast, Mason Garcia, Andrew Davis, and Jesse Vasquez. Welcome, guys. Yay.
Good to be here. Super excited. So excited.
So, Mason, why don't you kick us off and say hi to the folks out there?
Yeah. Thanks for having us on, Liz and Beth. My name is Mason Garcia. I am an outside sales rep for our temporary structures division of Sunbelt. I guess a little background on me. I grew up playing baseball, working landscape with my dad as a side job, worked at a vet, and then went to school kind of thinking I wanted to be a vet, but ended up graduating with an economics degree from Mississippi State University. This is my first job out of school. So I started in 2022, had to do some math, and worked in the field on one of our crews for about 6 months, just learning the ropes and, learning how to put tents up and all the good stuff come with it. So
I didn't know you were going to be a vet. That's a fun job. You're still working with animals though. I think
I have a puppy.
Different kind of puppies there.
She wasn't talking about dogs. She was talking about us.
Talking about y'all.
Mason, we're going to ask you lots of questions about your time in the field, because that's another reason I thought this would be a great space for you to share your experience.
Sure.
So, Andrew, say hi to the gang.
Hi to the gang. Hey guys, how's it going? I guess a little bit about myself is I grew up in really small towns most of my life, so all I knew was like working outside or using your hands to work. So saying the dumbest thing I ever thought was, you know what I want to do when I grow up? I want to work with my hands. And yeah. So
and here you are.
Yeah.
It's a dream come true.
Honestly, I was honestly looking for oil field jobs when I was looking for jobs, and I found this one on Indeed. This was still when we were Mahaffey, just for like maybe 3 weeks, and then we switched over to Sunbelt. Yeah, and now I'm here, and I spend 3/4 of my life on the road.
And you are loving it, right?
I love it. I love the paychecks.
First time I met Andrew, we uncovered that his mom and I have the same name and we're the same age. So so that was a reminder that I could be the parent of a full grown person. So yeah, I cried myself to sleep that night. That's fine.
I ended up asking Siri to call my mother one day, and it was like, calling Liz Davis. I'm like, no, not that one. And I had to explain to her why I was calling her at 8:00 at night.
I get a lot of pocket dials from Andrew.
All right. So Jesse's got to top this.
Jesse's a big deal. We have to say a big congratulations. Newest supervisor, Mazel tov.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, Jesse.
Yeah, it's great. I'm loving it. Both my jobs, I've probably gone 300 hours over budget and 2 weeks overdue, but it's fine. It's cool.
That was just fun.
Beth likes to give challenges.
I want to join the Air Force. I graduated high school early, went to join, got medically disqualified, applied to every travel job I could. And so I've been with my happy since I was 18 because it was either that or a solar salesman. So I was going to stay there for a year, get my money up. I'm a supervisor now. Woohoo.
But you like it?
Love it.
Yes.
So much.
So I'd love to hear a little bit about, I mean, I think I have some background. You guys have all offered a little bit on what attracted you to the job initially, but I'd like to hear a little bit about like why you thought it was for you and at least decided to stay, you know? So, Mason, anything in particular, like once you got here, like what was it that kind of made it sticky?
When I first started, so being my first big boy job, it was a little nerve wracking, I guess, especially going in the field, traveling, 3/4 of the time, like Andrew said, for the 6 months I was in it. And it was, not gonna lie, a bit of an adjustment. And at first I didn't really know if I wanted to stay. And back in my head, I was like, this isn't for me. I don't like being away from home. Like I don't really know the crew, not that they weren't making me feel fit in or making me feel welcome, but it didn't take very long, especially once we started moving to some jobs in a more northern climate, because I started in the middle of the summer and it was really hot.
Were you like in a July university class?
Yeah.
I always feel, oh man, those are rough.
Yeah. I worked with Jamie Bishop's crew, and I've met all the supervisors for the most part, and they're all great, but Jamie really taught me a lot, and I got super close with those guys. When it came time for me to go into my sales role, when Mike, our sales manager, called and said, "Hey, time to come to the office," I really didn't want to leave the field.
Oh, that's so nice to hear.
Yeah. Ever since I got in the office, it's really been fun. I mean, our sales cycle is pretty long. We quote jobs months or, even a year or two in advance sometimes. And that took a little adjusting, but ever since then, every job's different. There's new challenges. There's new people to meet and places to travel for site visits. So it's really been fun. And that's kind of why I'm still here. It's not the same old every day.
Definitely not. Another question I had, and it is about that first day on the job. So that's like the terrifying. Now, I know there's like university, but then there's like first job or the first, like that moment. Andrew, do you have any experiences you want to share from your first job?
Oh, my first job? Yeah. It was great. I loved it. It was Jazz Fest. It was my first job out of university, and I got sent to Jazz Fest.
Nothing like a really good challenge to start out with.
Yeah, no, okay, it wasn't really all that bad. I say that, but most of the time I got it easy, to be honest. They put me on a forklift and I moved materials all around the job site for the whole day. And I was like, hey, this is easy. And then 2 days later, I was doing the grunt work for the 50 meter that they put up in the parking lot.
So what do you know today that you wish you knew that first job?
During my first job, I was new. I wasn't the safest employee, but now working all these years, I've learned always wear your gloves for sure. Always wear your gloves.
Yeah.
I would tell people there and I'd be like, oh man, gloves are for sissies. And now I'm like, where's my gloves?
Well, yeah. And you're an ambassador for safety now.
Oh yeah, that too.
So I do think that there's something real there, because when our younger selves, your brain is still developing, and like your priorities.
And you think you're invincible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have kids now, you have like more responsibilities. There's like all these things that just sort of like make you think about your personal safety in a different way, right? Than that younger self. So Jesse, what was your first job like?
My first actual job I got on site was a refugee camp out in Mexico. And that was 7 a.m. to midnight, and 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. a couple nights
Oh, geez.
when the subcontractors fell through.
Wait, and you still came back?
Well, I didn't know at the time, but it was prevailing wage, so it was absolutely excellent later. But at the time, I just liked the work. I mean, I was 18. I liked moving.
Mhm.
Worked my whole life. I'm not gonna stop now. And I chase. And Mo was on that job site, and it was 11 p.m. to watch Mo out there sling steak. Like, oh, we can do one more. It felt like a very intimate company back then, you know. So
Mhm.
when you have that sort of camaraderie, you don't want to leave.
I love hearing that. That is so nice. And you came back and you kept showing up.
Mhm.
Well, it's kind of impressive. He had, what would you say? I don't know if Mo's a boomer or not, but he had that different generation teaching him
Mm-hmm.
and something to learn from, which leads us back into why we're doing these guys, because they're the up and comers in our world right now, and they will be leading the next group. So what would you teach them
Yeah.
or tell them, Mason?
You know, I still think that I'm learning and not at the point yet where I want to be teaching. And I'll say that I have found myself, as we've gotten new sales reps, teaching them kind of like without even knowing, to the point now where every time we hire a new person, I'm showing them how to use our software tools. I'm teaching them about, you know, what I know about structures and showing them, you know, just the way around the company. And I never really noticed that it was a continuous trend for the last 3 or 4 sales reps we hired until Mike brought it to my attention. So I guess, you know, I never hadn't really thought of that, you know, how once as we develop and get more experienced in work and in age, that we'll be training the next group of folks.
I do feel like we're at a point in all three of us, where we're expected to teach the people coming in. Not that we want to; it's just now we have to. And so I don't know what I want to teach the next people until they come ask me a question, and I think you should know that already. Except they shouldn't know that already. It's my fault. And so you have to tell them what's next. And it's just right now,
Burden
it's
of knowledge.
reaction, not proactive.
Yeah.
And hopefully, when you get older, it becomes proactive, not reactive.
Yeah.
And I don't know about y'all, but there's something about being younger. So like all the new reps we've hired recently are all older than me, but I'm more experienced than them. And there's something like, it feels weird how you're teaching someone about the job who's older than you. It's never received in a bad way. Like, they know, you know, they want to learn from experienced people, but I don't know about y'all, if it ever feels weird when, you know, you have a guy join your crew who's 10 years older than you, and and you're showing him the way, or her.
Well, look, I'm the oldest out of all of y'all and had to step into the corporate world a couple of years ago and completely learn everything from the ground up from lots of people that were younger than me. But their wealth of knowledge is what has led us to where we are now. And each of you as a leader does have that role of responsibility to continue the education, because you're learning every day. I'm still learning every day. And those that join us will hopefully continue to learn each day. Now get us to some fun questions, Liz.
Well, I mean, it's an important conversation. With age comes wisdom, but knowledge is kind of independent of that, right? That you go out and you get yourself. And I was at 26 years old, I managed a team of people, and a lot of them were older than me. And it was weird at times. But I do think that in 2025, there's definitely a more evolved perspective, at least with my generation. I think if I can learn in any room I'm in, regardless of who I'm with, then that's great. I can be smarter and better.
I agree with Mason though. It definitely is. It definitely does feel a little weird having to tell like someone's 30-year-old dad how to do the job.
You say 30 like it's old. All right. Watch yourself.
A whole decade older than me.
I feel the opposite. I like it when the people learn from me are older and 30 up, 35 up. They're much more receptive to taking hints and learning from you
Yeah,
rather than someone that's your same age.
Yeah.
for sure.
So I've had a lot of guys the same age as me come on site and think they know just as much as me just because they're 1 year older than me, or I'm the same age as you.
Yep.
I'd love to talk a little bit about other jobs, because since those first jobs, you guys have all learned something, right? Well, learn a lot of things from a lot of different people. Is there a particular job that you've done, something that really pushed you outside of your comfort zone, that might have been uncomfortable, but you walked away from it like better, stronger, smarter? Jesse, you're nodding.
About a year ago, I did a big reskin of a long-term contract we had out in Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
And my mentor was running it. Before that, y'all had me in Chicago doing another big job, and I come out there to help him, and he gets hurt. So then it's just me trying to challenge the contractor, the government on site, and then the actual people involved in the site. And so I had 3 political things I'm trying to dodge while having a bunch of new guys flown out, trying to teach them how to do what we're doing. And it felt a lot because I wasn't a supervisor. I was a second man for, I think, maybe 4 months at the time. And so you're just out there trying to figure it all out, the administrative role on top of the actual job role, on top of the people all at once. And it was a lot for sure. I think my people skills definitely got better. And my delegating definitely got better. My temper probably got worse though. So it's a give and take.
Can I just digress for 1 second on the temper thing? So Jesse calls me the other day and says, Liz, I need you to yell at me because I won't do my concur expense reports. So I need you to just yell at me. I don't know why, but it works for me. I said, I'm going to get fired if I yell at you the way you're asking me to yell at you.
People forget I've been in Manhattan since 18, so I was molded by y'all's culture. There was a small company culture.
We
Okay?
just scream at you. Stop it.
I'm not gonna say I've it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen anymore. I love corporate. I love being a corporate entity. Go HR.
All right. Well, so I'm sure, Mason, I know that you've had a lot of challenging jobs, like as working as a salesperson, I'm sure in the field. Is there one in particular that you felt like had a big moment of growth?
Yeah, I did. It's I think still my biggest job to date. It was at the end of 2023, early 2024. We did a big airplane hangar outside of Phoenix, Arizona. There was a lot that went on with that job. I think I quoted it probably 8 different times, just different variations, stuff they want to change, different sizes. Finally, as we narrowed it down, I learned that everything was being routed through a cooperative agreement. So it was like a government municipality, municipal airport. And I really learned a lot more different ways, I guess, to go about getting contracts done and the multiple rounds of engineering we had to get done and all the different, looking into fire suppression, that the hangar has an extension door. So, what's needed, how much concrete needs to be poured, where the winches are going to be mounted. There was so much into that job. And when it finally finished, it's helped for other stuff. I mean, I've worked similar jobs, maybe not of the same scope, but that use the same cooperative agreements to handle contracts and that need a ton of engineering. And now it's not scary anymore like it was back then.
Now you're seasoned. Yeah, that
wouldn't say that. I'm like a lightly marinated steak.
But the discomfort does lead to progress, especially because you spent the time to look at what you did, how you did it, how you want to do it next time. I think that's a metaphor for a lot of the different things that we do. One other thing I wanted to ask you guys about were what kind of tools, and these could be metaphorical tools or physical tools that you've added to your toolbox in the last year, or something you're like, man, this has definitely made my job easier, safer, better. Jesse, I feel like, is bursting to talk about something.
For so long, I felt like it was my job to make my boss's life easier. So I took a lot more
Has that changed?
responsibilities. Yes, but
Your job
drastic.
is to make my life easier.
You're only my boss for 6 weeks, and then it's back to Jared. But for so long, I was doing everything I could to make it easier for him. And as I've stepped into the supervisor role, the very brief time I've had, it's been like huge relief across a lot of the small things that I had to look forward to. Like I have a new lead, and it doesn't feel like I have to babysit a grown man, which I felt that a lot with a lot of different people over the years. Now, so I think a good toolbox is a good lead. No matter either your lead or someone underneath you, having someone I can trust 100% right there.
Andrew, is there anything, and this could be again like a metaphorical tool or like a physical tool?
I think what helped me the most was, to be honest, just knowing that not every job's going to go right. Not every customer is going to be happy with something. I just learned to, instead of getting mad and angry, just take some time, breathe, understand, I'm looking at the world from my perspective and everybody else is looking at it from theirs, and not to get so angry with them. So I guess a good toolbox thing for me was just calming down.
Take a breath, be flexible,
Yeah.
put yourself in your customer or your contact's shoes.
Now, another thing is a giant hammer. That solves all of our problems out in the field. A giant sledgehammer.
Hopefully that's to drive stakes and not do something else with.
Of course. Of course.
I do. So I think these themes, right, with having just the ability to take a step back, breathe a little bit, make sure all that's doing is giving your body the space to solve the problem in front of you. Because if you don't take that pause, it's just, so I think that's a really wonderful insight. We have a few minutes left, and I think it's fun to talk about what do you guys do when you're not working? Nothing.
Go ahead, Jesse.
Nothing. All you do is work. You just love work so much. I mean, so I don't know. Maybe you have this video games. Are we going to talk about video games? This is like.
Well, I think Mason plays with his puppy.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a very high maintenance dog that I rescued last summer. She is half German Shepherd, half Belgian Malinois. So both versions of the police and military dogs. If I don't wear her out every day, then she is a force to be reckoned with. So that does take up a lot of time. But I also, in my free time, my whole family were big Mississippi State fans. So, I went to school there. My sister just graduated from there. My dad went to school there. So we go to football games, baseball, basketball. I've converted my fiance to being a dedicated, diehard Mississippi State fan. So
it's a religion.
Yeah, she's joined the group. She at one point she I guess being a new fan didn't really realize that we usually aren't good at many sports, especially the major three. So we're in a low period now, and to show her dedication, we had a basketball loss last year. This was after a football season where she came to 5 games and we lost every game she came to. And then the first basketball game she comes to, we lose. And she was very, very upset. So thinking she was a bad luck charm. But yeah, that's how most of my free time goes, to the dog and to the bulldogs.
The dogs they're demanding, especially when they're young. And Mason is recently engaged and bought a house. You are a lot of excitement. So Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats.
So Andrew, what do you do outside of work?
Outside of work, just like every other Gen Z, I scroll through TikTok and every now and so I don't know. I don't have a set routine after work. I get off work, clean up, eat food, and it's different every day. I'll play the Xbox, or I will scroll through my phone all day. But the one thing that's consistent is every night I get to FaceTime my wife and my son and tell them goodnight and just play around on the phone with them.
That's what it's all about.
It
Yeah.
is. How old is your son?
He is 3 years old now.
Oh, adorable.
He has a problem with telling me no.
Wait,
Jesse,
he has the problem telling you no, or you have the problem telling him no?
No. It is all him. It is all him. And he knows it too. He'll be like a little smart patootie about it. Sorry.
Yeah.
No cussing.
the
But,
apple doesn't fall far, buddy. The apple doesn't
Yeah.
fall far.
What?
Mm. So, Jesse, I know you don't have kids. You're Uncle Jesse, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
I
are
just have sisters. I have a lot of sisters.
so many sisters. A high
It's kinda hard
EQ.
to-
A high EQ because of all the women in your life.
I mean, yes, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you feel responsible for things. I think for sure, being like
Mm.
the only brother, 'cause I do have 5 of them. So, and I am the older of 4 of them.
Yeah, we just try to guilt trip you as much as possible. My sister and I have been manipulating my brother for years, and it's worked out.
I get to come.
He's
home,
probably
I'm
going to
gonna
listen
be
to this. It'll be great.
Disneyland brother. I get to come, and if I take them out, I'm cool. I don't, I'm the worst ever. And they don't hang out with me. So,
Well, this is so nice to catch up with you guys. I love hearing your stories.
This is something I really, really, really need to know. It's vitally important.
This is not going
Is
to be
it?
vital.
No, but it's still funny. Is it? What's better, TikTok or Snapchat?
TikTok.
TikTok, Jesse,
I use neither for the most part.
Oh,
I use
really?
Instagram a lot though.
Mason.
You get some really good recipes on TikTok. So
I have to say, I mean, the few times I look at it, I do, but I watch all these kids walking around. They're usually making faces and pointing a camera at themselves. Like my child walked into a wall the other day because she was very busy taking a picture of herself and not paying attention. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
They don't text anymore. They snap each other. Go figure. So I'm just curious. If so, none of you.
we like putting faces to names. I mean,
Yeah. I particularly don't use Snapchat either.
See, I've learned something new.
Well, there's people younger than Generation Z joining the workforce. I mean, I've had a couple people that are Generation A, elders or whatever, Generation A coming in. So
Mhm.
have them
Get
next.
ready. Get ready. Get ready.
Oh,
We haven't
yeah.
figured out what their like all the stereotypes are yet to accommodate. Well, thank you guys so much. What a wonderful chat, and I hope everyone stays safe out there. And we'll see you next time. Bye bye.